Hi, this is a Unreal Editor lesson 1. This scene here is a scene that I created called Business District. It's a level for Unreal Tournament 3. I'm going to show the level inside the game first. I just want to point out all the models were created by Epic Games. And design is really about laying out the environment in the editor, and that's what I was doing here, level design. Artists create the assets. I didn't do any of that. I tried my hand at it, but I wasn't very good, and it's a lengthy process to make a good looking model for a game, or a character, or a vehicle, or something. Designers use the artist's assets to lay out the scenes. So I'm going to show the level first. So I've already got it inside Unreal Tournament. So I'm just going to load that up now. Takes a while to execute. And there's a sequence of splash screens here. I'm just going to quickly navigate through them because they're not interesting to watch. It's Epic Games logo. There I'll get through all that. Midway Publisher, Unreal Technology, the engine, NVIDIA, well, we've got an NVIDIA GeForce graphics card, Intel Core 2 used to the CPU for the machine. Pressing the key, play offline. My level, I'm just going to go instant action. Deathmatch. And mine's at the bottom, Business District. So I'll select that. Goal score, time limit. Should we reduce this? This is just for the number of kills in game, so I'm going to reduce that to 10 just to make a quicker game. Time limit. I haven't played this in a while, so I don't know what most of this does, but we'll just give that a whirl. Begin mission. I created this level all the way back in 2009, so that's 6 years ago. I'm just pulling all project files up for the site now. So I've got a nice portfolio of work that I've built, so I'm just trying to show it off on the site. In a second you'll see a matinee sequence that I created in Kismet, which is Honor. Start.
Play.
There it is, the matinee sequence. You can see the bots running around already. So let's get this weapon, it's pretty good. So all these models were created by Epic Games. In the scene and the characters, and there's a vehicle there, a tank. But all the layout of the entire scene was done by me. So this space is really unique and new for Unreal Tournament. It's not published as a product. It's just something I did for a course for the normal school of visual effects.
Enforced assimilation.
5 kills remain.
rocket launch is the best one.
Blood.
Kill before I managed to shoot. I killed somebody, but I also blew myself up. Got a double kill there, wow. I really like the lights in this hallway.
You have lost the match.
Oh well. I lost the match, but like I say, I haven't played this game in 6 years. I'm not very good at this sort of game anyway. I play Lotro, which is a massively multiplayer online game. Those are the scores. Got 8 kills and died 5 times. But Pagan got 10 kills. Oh, 8 deaths. I think, yeah, it's the first one to reach 10 kills. You saw that when I went into the game. It's going to anyway, there's many levels in this game, but that's one I created, and now I'm going to show how I built it and some of the features inside of the editor that I used to build that level. I just got to exit the game first. Let's go back to the beginning. Exit. Yeah. Right. Just switching my other monitor on. I'll just wait for the renders to update because it's taking its time. If I just select this. Let's hope that works. Right. Okay, here we are. I'll leave the generic browser minimized down here for now, because I can't do that. I've just got to bring the generic browser in for a second. I'll just leave it halfway off the screen like that. So this is the editor. Unreal Tournament 3 editor, you can see it says there, Unreal Editor for Unreal Tournament 3. Each game has its own version of Unreal Editor. Unreal Editor can be used on many different game projects. Many games have been made with this engine, this editor, probably hundreds. So today I'm going to show off some of the models, how blocking volumes were used in the level that I built, nav meshes, which are navigational meshes for the bots to move around, because all those other characters in that scene were bots rather than other players. If you're playing Deathmatch online, then it will be other players that you'd be playing against, but those are just bots. I'll show how lights are put into the scene and a weapon cache. I'll show how the matinee sequence was built with Kismet for this sweeping camera motions before the level starts, and then I'll show you Pi, which is playing editor. So we'll start off with models first. Models are modeled and textured inside apps like Maya. You've seen me use Maya before. That's the art package that I use for creating models and stuff. If it's characters, vehicles and weapons, they are rigged and animated too before coming onto Unreal Editor. Models are easier, but things that move and animate are more complicated to build and design and stuff. I'll show a few different models here. So I've got the generic browser here. You can see these are different views. We've got side here, that's top. This is perspective for P, and this is front for side. And you can navigate through these. So if I select that and move this top view around, you can see that's the mesh there, and somewhere over here there it is, and in the front view you can see it there. And you can move use these tools to move it around in any dimension, and it'll do that. Let's just put that back. So what I'm going to do now is cover up those views with this is called the generic browser. So I'll show this mesh by right clicking and going to sync generic browser, and it brings up a mesh which is this. I want to show you the static mesh editor. That's the model. You can rotate and zoom in and have a look at it. And if you want to see the collision geometry, you do that with this thing here, show collision geometry. Show wireframe and different things like that. And these are brought in from art packages like Maya. So these have been modeled in Maya and textured using applications like Photoshop and images and all sorts, really. I'll just show a different model now. I'll show you 2 or 3. There's some pipe work here that's kind of interesting. If I just select that, that's a nice pipe. Sync generic browser. It's this one, this piece. That's a model. These were all created by Epic Games in-house artists, because Unreal Tournaments made it Epic Games HQ. But like I say, many different companies use their technology to build their own games. So there's companies in London, all around the world really, Canada. BioWare used Unreal Engine to do Mass Effect. If you look on Wikipedia, there's a huge list of different games that have been made with Unreal Engine. I'll just show one more model. I think that's because I'm not running as administrator, but it doesn't matter. If I just pop outside, could possibly show you how navigation's done as well. Right click, or because I'm left-handed, left click in my case is used to move backwards and forwards like that, and move and rotate from side to side. And the other button's used to change the direction of the camera about a pivot point, and you hold them both together to move up and down. So you can drive through the scene forward and backwards like that, and move up and down and all this sort of thing. So I'll just select this object here and go sync generic browser. That'll pop into here, and you can bring up the material editor, the static mesh editor for that, and really look at what you did in your art package Maya, or some people use 3ds Max. There's various tools that these assets are exported from Maya and such applications, and then imported into the scene. You can see one of them's a UV texture, UV overlay, so that shows what the UVs look like, and inside this you'll have a texture map, which is all the shading that's gone into building this model to give it the final look in game. So that's models I've shown there. We'll look at blocking volumes next. I'm going to go in here and show you these pipes. Now, if you look at this pipe here, sync generic browser, and double click and look at the collision geometry for that. It's very close to the actual pipework itself, and when you're in game, moving that close to those objects looks really bad. So what we do, is we put this these blocking volumes, which are these things here, around them. So if I go up here, I'll just minimize that for now. Oh, I can't. I'll just move it off screen. This is Pi Playing Editor. This one. I should have done play from here there, because it's doing the matinee sequence, which I didn't want. But I'll just run through the level. There's no bots in it this time. Where am I going? No, it's this way. So these pipes, with the blocking volumes, I can move this close to them, but I don't get so close that it looks bad, because if you get these pipes right in your face, it looks awful. So that's why I use the blocking volumes, and I'll show how that's done in a second. You can see from this angle here, it just stops the camera from moving so far in to the object. So I've forgotten how blocking volumes are brought into the scene, but once you've got one in the scene, you can do Control C, Control V, and then bring up your move tool and just move it across. Actually, if I go into this fully, stride back a bit. No, perhaps I didn't want to do that, but let's just turn that off. Now this button here is geometry mode, so if I select that, now just remember the commands for this. It's Control, Alt, and marquee select. So if I hold Control and Alt on the keyboard and draw marquee selection around these top four vertices, you can see how I'm just navigating through the scene here. You can see how the top four were selected. Now I'll just move down a bit. If I move these down in the front view and then release the mouse button, you'll see that changes, and you can modify these boxes into any shape and put them anywhere on the scene. You can see quite a few of them are dotted about. I'll just go back into camera mode and delete that. Delete. I think these have some blocking volumes. No. Oh yeah. Up here you can see. I didn't want the player to get stuck on the walls. Let me just move over. So I put this blocking volume here around those pillars to stop the player from getting stuck on the wall. So he just slides across if he moves into the side. They're very useful blocking volumes. I'll just bring this over a bit. The next thing is navigational meshes. Bring that all the way across. In fact, let's go into this full screen. So navigational meshes show the bots where to go in the scene. So anywhere in the scene, you'll see these little apples, and I don't know what that's to do with. Probably the idea that bots are kind of intelligent, and it's the old apple falling on Isaac Newton's head. It was an inspirational idea, so they use the apples to signify that it's a path node, and that can be done by right clicking and going add to add a path node. You'll notice that it's green, but when I deselect it, it's the same color as the other ones. And now I can actually show this navigational mesh by going up to this button here, and you can see where it says path. So if I just select that, you can toggle it on and off by hitting P on the keyboard, so that'll just turn it on and off like that. I'm just pressing P to do that, and you can see that all those nodes are connected. Excuse me. These things here are lights, so those are also created in a very similar way. I'll just turn off the nav mesh and right click and go add a light point there, and as you move these around, the lighting in the scene responds dynamically to that light. But you have to build the light in order to get it to show when you play the game. Lights are very simple. You need them in order to light your scene. Without lights, the scene would be very dark. I'll show how to. You can see this up here is a weapon cache. Sorry, just navigate into it. This thing here. So I'll show how that's created. If you go to actor classes, let me see, weapon cache, navigation point, pickup factory, UT pickup factory. It's called a weapon locker. So if I select that and then right click here in the scene and go add UT weapon locker content here, that adds that to the scene, and you can add them into your navigational mesh so that bots can pick up weapons as well as yourself for fighting against them. Just delete that out. Back over to the generic browser. I think pretty much the last thing that I want to show, because the video is 25 minutes through now, almost, would be Kismet. So that's this button here. If you want to bring up Kismet, this is an editor for Kismet. So Kismet's a visual scripting system. It's a way to get graphs to create computer code for you, and it helps if you understand programming and system memory. My Kismet scene here was used to script the camera movements at the beginning of the level with Matinee. Matinee is a feature of Unreal Engine, Kismet is too. And you saw that earlier when I brought up the game. I'll do it again now. If you can't recall, the Kismet part, sorry, the matinee sequence is, if I just go play in editor like that, it's this bit here where you get the swooping camera motions just before the game starts. And here we are back in. This play in editor thing here, play in editor, or some people say Pi, like play in editor is used for testing purposes as you build your level, so that you don't have to load up the game each time you want to test it. It's very easy to build all the lighting, geometry, everything, and just bob into the level to quickly test it in editor. That's why it's called play in editor. Just to see how it feels, and then just press escape to go back to the editor, possibly make some changes. So I might do something just to show you quickly. Let's say I want to add this pipe. Well, it's selected in the generic browser, so right click in the scene anywhere, add actor, add static mesh pipes thing there, and then so that's the pipe. I'll just scale it up a bit to there, and I'll show you about building the geometry actually, because that's quite important. Here you've got build geometry, build lighting, build paths, build cover nodes, build all. So we haven't added any lighting or paths or cover node. So if I just build geometry for the level, I'll just wait for it to do that. Let's just see if it's popped into the scene already. Sorry. Oh, let me just do a build all, because I've changed the scene, so this might take about 40 seconds. This is part of the process. You don't have to do this with modern game engines. You don't have to rebuild the scene each time, I don't think. You can just add objects to the scene and get the runtime version of the game to reflect the changes immediately. But back in the day you had to build everything. 30 seconds there. We're 28 minutes into the video, so this is the last thing I'm going to show. Right, so now that's in the scene, and this time instead of doing using this button up here to go play in editor, I'm just gonna do play from here, and that should take us right in. It still runs the matinee sequence, but we're gonna pop right into where the model that I added was done. So now that's in the scene, and that's all I did throughout the whole process was use a generic browser to bring in objects to the scene and just lay it all out to try and make it look quite fancy. Probably took over 100 hours to do it all together. I started by creating a floor plan using Photoshop, drawing rectangles and what the spaces could look like, and just modified my ideas over time, and eventually I ended up with this, and that's how it's done. So from here I'm just going to end the video now. Thank you.